Greetings, everyone, and welcome. It is Friday, December the 13th, and I want to share with you over the next few minutes 3 key reasons why Russia chose this morning to strike Ukraine in what President Zelenskyy calls the largest attack against our critical infrastructure to date. We have been having these. We had a feeling this was coming with the absence of drones and strikes. We hear all the talk about future arrestings and all that stuff. Disregard all of that. Let's look at the facts today. There was a massive strike all throughout Ukraine, and critical infrastructure, electrical systems were significantly damaged. We're going to look at the facts of that. And what I also want to communicate with you guys is 3 reasons why Russia chose today. I will tell you that I'm not trying to click you or hold you here. I want you to understand the real information. We're going to look at the key figures here and their responses, such as President Zelenskyy, the IAEA, et cetera, et cetera. You'll hear from all of those. I have their responses. In addition to that, I've got some information on just it's a logical understanding of why this happened for these 3 reasons. So we'll look at that in just a moment. But before we do that, let's look at the facts of what happened. The bottom line is multi-layered attack from both air and sea happened against Ukraine this morning, Ukraine time. Interesting, it's on Friday the 13th. Of course, I can tell you that Ukraine is talking about it being Friday the 13th, and you'll see that in just a moment. But this gives you an idea of how the drones were flying. The drones are in the yellow, and then the pinks and the purples and the blues are their different flight paths from the Black Sea, and also from the launching positions of the Tupolev 95s, the MiGs, and those sea-based caliber class carriers. It was a massive strike on Ukraine. You may be wondering, okay, Greg, when missiles are flying like that, what is it really like inside Ukraine? I've been under the missiles. I've heard the missiles. I've seen the explosions. I've been blown out of my bed with those explosions. It's very, very dangerous, and it's very scary. This morning in Kyiv, this is what it looked like. This is the subway. I want you also just to notice how peaceful folks are. Guys, don't believe anything else. That's the real Ukraine. Those are Ukrainians in Kyiv, and just imagine for yourself if you're having to stand there. Of course, all transportation shut down, everything locked down, people are there and just orderly. So kudos, and I just want to share every day how great Ukrainian people are. You'll be seeing more of that when I am in Ukraine here on the next run to the front in a couple of weeks. So thank you for that. Now, where and why? We're going to talk about that and some quotes from the key players, of course, Zelenskyy, before we get to the 3 reasons why. Ivano-Frankivsk region, critical infrastructure facilities hit. This is out west. Lviv region, energy facilities. This is out west. Kyiv region, power lines were damaged as a result of falling debris and drones. Odessa region, down south, critical infrastructure, loss of power and water. In fact, this morning, over 50% of Odessa had no power and no water. Chernihiv region, up in the very north on the borders of Russia and Belarus, critical infrastructure damaged. Kharkiv region, out in the far northeast, where the battles near Vovchansk and below Sumy and Ukraine's invasion there into the Russian territory region of Kursk. Occupiers struck Mirny region of the city, Beresnusky district, and civilian infrastructure was damaged. I can tell you that the reason Zelenskyy said this was one of the largest attacks is they did hit some key targets, and the air defense systems operated in almost all regions of Ukraine. We're talking all the way from the Transcarpathia, the mountains out in the far west, all the way, of course, to the east in Kharkiv and down to the south of Odessa and the north of Chernihiv. It was a crazy morning inside Ukraine. I have been talking to them. We're very grateful. No loss of life, but the infrastructure was smashed. By the way, today is Friday the 13th, and they said, here's some Russian symbolism for you guys. Now, a couple other facts this morning. IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, today, 5 of Ukraine's 9 operating nuclear reactor units have reduced power output due to renewed attacks on energy infrastructure. You may ask, why does this happen? Why do the nuclear power plants have to reduce power when energy infrastructure is damaged? Guys, it's logical. I'm not an electrical engineer, but we work there in Ukraine. When the infrastructure, the substations, the power lines are destroyed or damaged, the power plants have to reduce power pushing out because there's not the infrastructure to carry the power. So, for example, in the city of Zaporizhia, which we do a lot of work in, they struggle with power, not because the power plant has been destroyed, but because the substations and the electrical infrastructure in the different regions have been damaged. So, yes, you may have power to push from the power plants, the nuclear power plants, of course, not Zaporizhia, but Khmelnytsky, for example, up in Rivne, the southern nuclear power plant. You have the power, but you can't push it, because if you do, you'll just blow the entire system because the infrastructure down the line can't handle it. So 5 of the 9 not functioning at full power. This is Ambassador Bridget A. Brink. She is the ambassador to Ukraine from the United States. Russia attacked not only energy, and this is what I was sharing with you about Kyiv, but also transportation networks and key logistical facilities across the country. If I go to a map really quickly here, I will just explain this to you. So a lot of the attacks happened out here: Lviv, Ternopil, Ivano-Frankivsk, Carpathian Mountains. Why? Because, guys, this is the outline here of Poland, and a lot of supply comes through Poland into Ukraine, out to the east, to the battles, and to the south. They come through the Baltic Sea on ship, they come down and through. So when you have brought damage to this region here, you are significantly reducing Ukraine's ability to get supply out to the east and out to the south. That's what Bridget A. Brink is talking about, and I can confirm that. And I will tell you right now, one of the key cities, and this is not OPSEC, guys, it's public information, but not only Lviv here, but Ternopil. This is a key transit route for Ukraine getting infrastructure into and supply into Ukraine. It's not OPSEC, it's public information. Absolutely 100% public. This is why you continue to see the region of Lviv and the city of Ternopil itself under constant attack. And that will continue. Guys, just let's be honest. It's logical. Ukraine Foreign Minister Andriy Subiga stating massive Russian missile attack on Ukraine this morning, primarily targeting the energy system. Russia aims to deprive of us energy. Instead, we must deprive it of the means of terror, meaning strike them back, long-range strikes. I reiterate my call for the urgent delivery of 20 NASAMS, Hawk, or IRIS-T air defense systems. Zelenskyy specifically also talks about Patriot systems. And then, of course, the ability for Ukraine to strike into Russia is key. That cannot be stopped. Once again, guys, I'm reminding you in just a moment, I'm going to give you the 3 reasons. I believe it's accurate. I'm very confident in my chats with Ukraine this morning. It's accurate. Now, let's always listen to President Zelenskyy. On the left, I have his statement, and I've translated it for you into English. This is Zelenskyy stating, "We managed to shoot down 81 missiles, including 11 cruise missiles shot down, thanks to our F-16s. Thank you. Can we have some more? I mean, think about the defense that Ukraine would have if they had just 30 F-16s. Russia also used about 200 drones in this attack, one of the largest strikes yet on our energy sector." There it is. This is Putin's peace plan to destroy everything. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute with one of the reasons. This is Putin's peace plan to destroy everything. This is how he wants negotiations, by terrorizing millions of people. Guys, honestly, I believe this is going to be one of those attacks that confirm that the West is beginning to act properly. Zelenskyy goes on to say he is not limited in range or in purchasing the necessary components for missile production. If you remember yesterday or the day before, I confirmed with you guys about the largest oil purchase in history between India and Moscow. Oil, Zelenskyy says, gives Putin enough money to believe in impunity. A powerful reaction from the world is needed. A massive strike against us. Now it's time for a massive reaction. Guys, that is a direct statement against India and against the world allowing these types of massive cash inflows to come into this Russian war machine. Zelenskyy says, only in this way will terror stop. And that's what he wrote. Finally, he said, if leaders are afraid to respond or get used to terror, Putin takes that as permission to continue. 100% accurate. Patriots are needed to shoot down these missiles and prove that terror will not achieve its goal. Sanctions against Russia for the war should be strengthened to have a real impact on Russian missile production. 100%. This is what Zelensky's stating. Now, the three reasons, and thank you for staying or fast forwarding, whatever you wanted to do, the three reasons. This is a fact, guys. Ukraine has been pounding Russia with ATACMS. Ukraine has been pounding Russia, oil refineries, production facilities, bases, not only in Taganrog, but also throughout those border regions in Rostov and Voronezh and Belgorod and Kursk. They've been reaching out and smacking them basically each evening. Russia coming out today and saying this attack is a response to the attack on Taganrog. Yes, Russians were killed in the attack on Taganrog. Russian Defense Department openly declared this is a direct response to the ATACMS missile attack on the military airfield in Taganrog. All of our objectives were achieved and all objects were hit in our morning attack. So, reason number one, and I know right there you want to say, Greg, don't believe anything that Russia says. I understand it, guys, and I get it, but I'm telling you right now, this is a reason. Ukraine has been smacking each evening Russian targets. In Taganrog, there were casualties, and Russia strikes back, and they state it's for Taganrog. It's not just for Taganrog, okay? But this is one of the reasons. So that's reason number one. Now, let's go to reason number two. Proper rhetoric. Finally, Macron. Just go around the pictures here. You have Duda in Poland. Then you have Donald Tusk. You have Olaf Scholz. You have Macron. You have Donald Trump. And we've talked about some of his rhetoric. We'll see what happens. And you have President Joseph Biden, who is pushing so much aid into Ukraine. They are trying to pump as much as possible into Ukraine for defense and to attack over the next, it's December the 13th until January the 20th, January 19th. They're pushing as hard as they can. So finally, we have some proper rhetoric going on. Donald Tusk there in the middle beside Scholz. And you know what? Our troops aren't going to a DMZ line. And of course, that's Duda, the president. That's not happening. Scholz stating, well, I'll call him again if I need to, but he's nothing but a babbling idiot, basically. Just his continual rhetoric of his same actions. And we talked about that yesterday on the live. It's basically you have Putin and you have Hitler. They're just duplicates of each other. And Scholz reminding Putin and the world that Germany stands with Ukraine until victory. You have Macron. We have France stepping up with massive support for Ukraine, especially with the 5 new brigades that they want to partner with and the continual supply of the scalps and support and training, you name it. And then, of course, we've already spoken about Donald Trump and Joseph Biden. So this is proper rhetoric coming. Is it making Putin nervous? Absolutely. But he is a wild and crazy man. What Putin wants is for Ukraine to capitulate. He wants for the West to capitulate. He wants for the United States to capitulate. And what happens? Okay, we're done. Let's go to a freeze. Let's back up. Let's give you those territories. Let's negotiate. Let's ease sanctions. But when he sees the rhetoric coming, all he can do is attack. And you may call this an escalation, but this is necessary for victory. This is necessary for the West to understand that Vladimir Putin is an evil, evil human being dictator who wants only to wipe Ukraine off the map and wreak havoc and destruction throughout the world. That's reason number 2. Now, reason number 3. Why have we been waiting for this big attack, this large missile attack? Why was there quietness for a few days with the Shaheeds flying? Guys, it's because of the weather. You say, what? It's because of the weather. You see, it's been unseasonably warm inside Ukraine. Lack of snow, lack of ice. And we look at that and we say, okay, that's good. And in general, that is good, especially for the electrical infrastructure. But I can tell you, Ukrainian soldiers are waiting for some snow to help give them some tactical advantages and slow down that meat grinding Russian assault against Ukraine, the Pokrovsk, Kharkova, Kupiansk, and so on. They're waiting for the snow. But the weather, why? Is reason number 3. Why did Russia go after the electrical infrastructure? Because the projected weather coming up all over Ukraine for the next few weeks are temperatures averaging around minus 15 Celsius for the lows. Cold, guys. And I remind you that the winter is the most drain and the most energy consumption is in the winter for Ukraine. You see, in Ukraine, not everybody operates with air conditioning in like Western countries or the United States or maybe Australia, and every home has air conditioning and every flat. No, they don't pull that much juice. And I know it's weird for us to think in the West. They don't pull that much juice or electricity in the summer, but in the winter, everybody needs heat. So it's as if Russia has been waiting for the forecast to change to get cold. Why? Because Ukraine already stated, as long as we are above 0, we can do a decent job maintaining our electrical grid, keeping the rolling blackouts down. But when the temperature goes below 0, there is no way that we can stop rolling blackouts, even if there was another attack. Now we see the cold, cold weather coming in, and what happens? The big attack. Why? To do their very best to cripple Ukraine to be able to defend and to put fear into the rest of the world. I hope this helps you understand. I hope this gives you some further insight. We're watching some other developments that are happening inside Ukraine right now. I've been talking to Ukraine this morning in Kyiv, in Khmelnytsky, in the front lines. Lots going on, lots to share with you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the new subscribers, likes, comments, sharing. We appreciate each and every one of you trying to do our best to stand with Ukraine. We'll be back later.